I'm Judith Monroe, and this is my darkroom bathroom. In this video, I'm going to show you how to mix up Caffenol alternative process developer specifically for processing paper like this. The first thing that I want to do is talk about all of the things that you're going to need to have on hand. So first of all, you can see I have 3 trays set up. This is my light tight darkroom. This is a safe light when I turn it on. You can see it has a nice red light. Don't need that yet. So for our Caffenol developer, we're going to need 12 ounces of water. We're going to need 3 teaspoons of sodium carbonate. So that's also known as washing soda. And if you can't find washing soda, you can use baking soda, and you can actually put it on a cookie sheet and bake it for like an hour at 400 degrees, and you will get sodium carbonate. We also need 6 teaspoons of instant coffee. Nice El Mexicano there. The inexpensive stuff is what I used. And then vitamin C powder, 1 teaspoon. So vitamin C powder, you can also take vitamin C pills and crush them up and make powder, so that's acceptable. Stop bath, that's just going to be 16 ounces of tap water. And then finally our salt fixer. And our salt fixer is going to be 16 ounces of distilled water, like this kind of thing. We're going to make it warm, and we're going to put in iodized salt, half a cup of iodized salt. All right, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to suggest you mix up your salt fixer first, so that it has the longest amount of time to cool, because we're going to make it warmer than we want it to be used. And we're going to do that because we want it to be easy to mix up. So we've got 16 ounces of distilled water, which happens to be 2 cups of water. So I've measured my 2 cups of water. And I'm going to go microwave that water, and I will be right back. So I just microwaved this water for 1.5 minutes, and I'm going to mix things up in this larger container because that's going to be easier than trying to put the 1/2 cup of salt in here. So 1/2 cup of salt. All the way. I want to make sure it's fairly level. Okay, I'm going to put that in here. I'm going to pour the very warm water in here. You can see it's kind of steaming, and I'm going to stir it up. So this is going to take a little bit. I want to make sure that I'm completely dissolving the salt in this water. If I tried this at room temperature, it would take a really long time. So it's a lot easier to dissolve the salt in hot water. My problem is I don't want to use this solution hot, which is why I'm making it first, because that's going to give it the most time to cool. So I feel like pretty much all of that is dissolved. I'm going to pour it into this tray. Close to dissolved. I'm going to pour a little bit back in there. It wasn't completely dissolved. I'm not going to try to get it all back in there. A little bit more mixing. that's pretty much everything. There we go. Tiny, tiny bit of salt. So I can continue to stir it in here. I can feel tiny little granules of salt with the tongs. Kind of feels, you know, like it would if there was sand. And I really do want this all completely dissolved as much as possible. And then also letting it sit in this tray is going to allow it to cool off a little bit faster than it would in a container like this. If you're concerned, this is something that could be mixed up, say like a couple hours before everything else or the night before, allowed to cool, and that would be fine too. But I've been doing all right, just making it the first thing that I mix up, because it's going to be a little bit of time before I'm actually ready to use my chemistry. All right, so the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to the developer. All right, for the developer, I need 12 ounces of water. So I just measured that. 12 ounces also happens to be 1.5 cups. So I'm gonna pour that in straight into my tray right here. And then I need 3 teaspoons of the sodium carbonate. So that's the washing soda. And I'm gonna measure that out. I'm 1, 2, 3. You'll notice I'm making them level teaspoons. And then 6 teaspoons of instant coffee. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. And then finally, 1 teaspoon of my vitamin C powder. All of these making sure they're level. Now, doesn't it look interesting making little foamy stuff? I'm going to very carefully mix this, and I'm going to mix this until everything is dissolved. Sometimes I've noticed when I do this, I'll get some hard chunks. I think it's the washing soda kind of clumping together, so I want to check for that. Doing pretty good this time. And again, I can kind of feel the bottom with the tongs, if it's smooth or if I've got something grainy and gritty in there. All right, that's all mixed up. And then finally, my stop bath is 16 ounces of tap water. I already measured that out. Pour that in here. And now I'm almost ready to rock and roll. The last thing I want to talk about is our salt fix and the way we have to be really careful with this. This has been the trickiest part of the process, actually, is the fixer and making sure that these prints stayed fixed. So one of the things that you're going to have to do for this salt fixer, here's all my times, is you're going to have to keep your prints dark in the fixer under the surface of the fluid for at least 48 to 72 hours. I've had some trouble at that 48. Even at the 72 or almost the 72, I've had some struggles, but it's getting better. So one of the first things I do is I created this funky little lattice system that sits on top of the prints that are sitting in there to help keep them stay under the light. And the other thing I did is I made a lid for my fixer tray. So you could use a found cardboard lid, but we want to make sure that this stays light tight. And like when I put a flat thing on top of here, I wasn't sure if I was getting a light leak, and so I made a lid with a lip. But those two things, you're going to want to make sure that you protect those prints in that fixer. Just to kind of talk a little bit about the Caffenol developer, that's going to be a 1 to 5 or more minute development time, finding that 4 to 5 minutes are the kind of the prime. Stop bath is only going to be 10 to 30 seconds, just mostly to rinse the coffee off of your print. And then, like I said, that 48 to 72 hours in the dark with your fixer. There are more videos to talk you through all of the steps. I hope you enjoyed walking step by step through the process of making Caffenol alternative process chemistry. Like I said, there are more videos walking you through the steps of how to shoot your pinhole camera and process those negatives, as well as how to make a contact print. As always, remember to like, subscribe, and comment. Thanks.